Hi everyone, Sarina here, and I am participating in the Warrior Goddess Leadership team. And we are doing a challenge to teach. And so yesterday I asked some of you to give me some numbers, and I was working on a project, and this is a project I was working on. So I have taken all your numbers and made some playing around things and created my schedule of videos, and you will get to find out what the topics are as we go along. But I can tell you that they're super exciting, and I have more than I need, so I'm going to randomly pull them. So each time I present, I'm going to have 4 to 5 minutes to prepare and know what the topic is before I do it. And I'm so excited. So today's topic is Speak Your Truth, which is chapter 8 from Warrior Goddess Training, and Purify Your Vessel, which is chapter 3 from Warrior Goddess Training. So that's what I'm going to teach on. It is 3:19, and I have 10 minutes. So here we go. So when we talk about what it means to speak our truth, speak your truth in particular, and purify our vessel, a lot of people have ideas about what these things mean. You may conjure up ideas about what it means to speak your truth. Oftentimes we think that it means saying everything that's coming up for us at any point. Which could look like dumping our emotions onto someone else. It can look like being brutally honest or maybe even hurtful. It can look like not being tender with our words when someone's really struggling because we're speaking our truth. That's what's true for us right now. But what we want to do is take this idea of speaking our truth and use our discernment. So we want to be really mindful of how we're using our energy, how we're using our words. And part of what's involved with that is really stalking our thoughts. And so when we're stalking our thoughts, what that looks like is becoming really aware, paying attention. What are the thoughts I'm having? And then how do I then make a choice about when to express those thoughts aloud to other people? The other thing that often comes up for folks when we're talking about speaking our truth is that people believe that we have to say everything to everyone. And I love this idea of having what's called a heart council. I heard this term from Brené Brown when I was a baby social worker. And it's this idea of having a handful of people that you can literally tell anything to. So these are the people that know everything about you, that you want to share with them, that they won't judge you or shame you for the things that you're thinking or the way that you're doing things, and you can go to them for counsel. And so speaking your truth with them may look different than speaking your truth with someone else who you just met, like a stranger at a coffee shop or someone on the bus. And so we want to be really mindful about who we're speaking our truth to, what that looks like. And then the other layer that I want to add to this is not everyone gets the honor of hearing your truth. And what that can look like is if you have been really harmed, if you've experienced trauma and someone's not respecting your boundaries, for example, setting your boundaries is something that should be respected regardless of whether or not they know why you're setting that boundary. And so one of the things that I often tell my clients is that you setting a boundary is enough. Sometimes people want to justify why they're setting a boundary. You most certainly can if it's coming from conscious choice, but no one should make you feel like you're obligated to tell them why you've set a boundary. That's up to your discretion on whether you want to tell them or not. But no one's obligated to that. That's not a mandate, and that you're at choice. So to know as we're speaking our truth and as we're coming into these places of really stepping up, and for many of us, it can be this huge place of courage to call on our courage when we're speaking our truth. And so to know and give yourself some grace if at first it's a little rocky. I know when I first started using my voice, I didn't recognize my voice. I was like, who's that? And I also notice it now, sometimes depending on the situation, where my voice will change. So when I'm in my power and when I'm really grounded and rooted, my voice sounds a specific way. But if I feel intimidated, if there's an authority figure, if I feel unsafe in a space, let me see if I can do it. And and I was doing this and my voice gets really high and all of a sudden I'm talking like a little girl. And that's not my normal voice. And so there's this place where we can begin to open our awareness and purify our vessel, clean out those areas where we begin to abandon ourselves, where we're not serving ourselves. And so as we hold what it's like to speak our truth, to really step into our courage of using our voice, of practicing saying what we want, of being really direct in our communication, there's also going to be a ton of opportunities, especially when we're first practicing, to purify or clean up our language, to clean up our communication styles. It's also just a place to learn good skills. So when we talk about purifying our vessel, the vessel that we're talking about is the sacred container that holds all of us. And that sacred container has, our mind, it has our energetic body, our emotional body, it has our physical form. And when you're purifying your vessel in relationship to speaking your truth, there's this place of really opening to, how do I use my voice now? What are the ways that I communicate? Where do I avoid conflict in communication? Where do I run away? Where do I get quiet? Where do I get loud and power over somebody else? And these can be ways where we're giving our power away, where we're leaking out our energy, and where we're not really being in our power. And so we want to be able to begin to harness the way that we speak our truth, that we harness our energy and direct it so that it's following the line of our intent. So it's following where it is that we want to go. A story I'll share around this is that one of my dear friends, Heather, and I, we spent several years in lots of conflict. We just were like oil and water. And there were some times where we would be in beautiful, love with each other, and other times where we would want to stab each other with a pencil. And there was this one time where I thought we had had this huge heart connection and we had this amazing experience, and then something shifted over 24 hours. And then we spent about 9 months being really, really disconnected. And when I say really disconnected, I mean I didn't want to talk to her. I didn't want to be in the same room as her. And we kept having these places of really, really struggling with one another. And I just found out the other day at her memorial, Heather Ash was sharing about how I knew that I was going to Heather Ash, but apparently Heather was also going to Heather Ash. And we were separately going to her and talking about how much of a challenge it was to be in circle and be in relationship with one another. And then one day, in in June of last year, so a year and some change ago, we went for a walk in the desert. And during the walk, we cleared our communication. And what we did was we sat down together, we looked at each other in the eyes, and we opened our hearts, and we shared from that place. So we shared our hurt, we shared our disappointment, we shared our anger and our rage. We shared all of the pieces that had shown up for us over the time that we had been in disharmony. And there were tears and there was laughter, and it was amazing. And that was probably one of the profound moments of my life around direct communication and being able to pure my vessel while speaking my truth, and use that container as a way to clear, as a way to be in relationship with one another. And so it was hard. I mean, it was challenging to sit there with each other and to be in the discomfort and to hear the radical honesty that we were having with one another. And our willingness to sit together across from each other, to really have this heartfelt connection, to look ourselves in the eyes and really open to what's needed here in this moment. And that, I believe, really shifted our relationship, because we basically were inseparable from then on. And it just continued to deepen. And so I'm even starting to look for, how do I have that sort of relationship with other people in my life? And I've spent a lot of time over the last year, probably year and a half at this point, really working on clear communication, on how do I be direct without being hurtful? How do I reach out and talk to someone when there's conflict instead of doing what I used to do, which is completely avoid them? I would cut people off and be like, F you, I'm never talking to you again. And so there's this place of opportunity where when we come into practices of communicating, where we are practicing being impeccable with our word, when we're practicing just being clear and being out of the drama, and allowing our emotions to show up fully as they are, but not dumping them on the other person. Allowing ourselves to hear our stories and really untangle them from the truth, to figure out, okay, the story I'm telling myself is da-da-da-da-da. And what I think happened was this. And to be able to share that with someone else, with this heartfelt connection, with this place of being curious about what's going to change your experience. And so I'll leave you with this. When the world is burning down around you and you're realizing how important it is to be in connection, how important it is to be in relationship with one another, at a time when things are really heated, when oil is rising to the surface, it's so important for us to build these skills, of purifying the way that we're communicating, of purifying the way that we're existing in the world, so that there's more space and more room for love. So that there's more space and more room to be in community with one another. And the only way that we're going to get there is by going through the difficulty, by going through the challenging times together, to hold that we can do this, even when it's really, 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 really hard. So I look forward to sharing more Warrior Goddess wisdom with you, and I appreciate you being here. Mwah! See you soon.